Morning. Good morning, YouTube. Thank you for joining me for another presentation of the Solid Sports video blog. This is episode 293. Today's date is May 27th, 2025. Thank you so much for watching this morning. Um, Not too late. I'm a little late, like 5 minutes late, but not too late this morning. Thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate it. Got a good show today. Of course, we look at the updated MLB standings. Um, we'll look at the NBA playoffs, the conference finals, of course. We'll talk about the Thunder and Wolves. Thunder are now 1 game away from reaching the NBA finals as they up 3 games to one with a big win last night over the Minnesota Timberwolves as they go home as well. And then we'll look at the East side as well. Pacers still up in that series, 2 games to one. Game four, I think it's tonight, I believe. And then our NFL roundabout series starts today. The NFC North is our first division. Next week we'll do the AFC South. I mean the AFC North. I'm sorry. Then we'll go to the South, and we'll rotate it NFC, AFC. But we will do the East last because the Eagles, of course, won the Super Bowl. So we'll do the NFC East. Will be the last division that we do in the roundabout series. So. Um, and some other little NFL news as well today. Then maybe we'll touch on some other stuff as well. Like I said, thank you guys for being here. Um, as far as the channel, thank you. We up to 338 subscribers. We was between 39 and 38. And we're back down to 38. Um, so thank you guys. And closer to 400. Of course, 500 is the goal. And then I could get monetized and really start doing some big things. So hopefully that'll be sooner than later. But we crawl, we'll get there eventually. I believe we will. So I appreciate you guys for support with that. Um, uh, of our projects, like I said, I started back working, so that's why I'm recording today. I never usually do it on a Tuesday. Um, but Tuesday, this was my only opening day this week that I could because I got to do it between Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Um, and Wednesday and Thursday, next 2 days, I work in the daytime. So I went ahead and took the opportunity. I wasn't like I thought about just skipping this week and maybe doing, just having a sports topic live through one of my video games, like either Tekken or Forever Skies or something. But I said, you know what, I'll do it today, a special day. So, basically between Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, are the days I will go live with our sports blog. So, but yeah, I had to do it Tuesday this week because I had to work the next 2 days. So, um, that's why I'm on here on a Tuesday. I never be on here Tuesday. I'm trying to think if I ever do it on a Tuesday, ever. I don't know, but Tuesday is pretty much the rarest days that I be on. So, um, but yeah, I gotta work the next couple of days, so that's why I had to do it today. But yeah, we got some things coming. Uh, I mean, I don't know if you guys is in the Doom, but Doom got a new game out, the Dark Ages. So I might dabble into that. Like, so that'd be a newer project that's down the pike. Of course, you go to still continue to see Call of Duty Season 4 of that start this week. I've been doing a campaign with that. Also, other stuff I ain't finished. Forever Skies I haven't finished yet. I sort of stuck on that. And Pacific Drive as well. Um, but I kick out as much as I can. I'll probably kick out another 2 videos today later on as well. Might throw a Call of Duty video in there, multiplayer. So just check it all out when you get a chance. And like I said, if you like video games and sports, this is the place to be. Um, so let's go ahead and look at the standings in the MLB, get that out the way. Then we'll talk about the NBA playoffs. And then we'll do our roundabout series. We'll talk about, well, if you're a fan of the Bears, the Lions, Packers, or the Vikings today, um, that's the division we talked about today. And then next week, It'll be the AFC South, which is my division. I mean AFC North. I keep saying South. The North with my Ravens in it, and that's going well. All like I said, the NFL is just interesting, especially during the off season, because everybody feel like they got a chance during the season. So, but we talk about the NFC North today. Um, okay, let me pull up these standings um, in the MLB here, and then we'll get that out the way. I always get the baseball out the way first because, like I said, man, you don't see any people but beating their chest that they like baseball. Not anymore. There's fans out there, but you know, they don't really claim baseball that much. Um, so this ain't gonna take long. I just want to look at it. I don't think much has changed within a week. Well, it's been less than a week. Because when I went live last Wednesday, I think. So let's see. All right, I'm glad my other device, one of my old phones, acting right today. Last week it was jumping all around. All right, so the American League, of course, Yankees still in first place, 33-20 is their record. They 6 clear now. Tampa, who has jumped all the way to second. Toronto Blue Jays right there, they 7 out. Boston 7.5 out, and then unfortunately my O's, another team that I root for, being from Baltimore and everything, they are 15 under at 19-34 in last place. Of course, like I said, I talked about it last week. They fired the manager, which I think to me was a mistake. But they got to start winning if they want a shot. I think they still got a chance to come back. But the 2 days against them is the time. It's almost June, and then there's so many teams in front of them. Basically, they the second worst team in the league. So they got a lot of teams to jump. But I think this is a growing pains thing. I'm surprised that they in last place, but I mean the team's still young. This probably just was a bump in the road year to grow. I think the team's still fine. They just need to get pitching. Like the Orioles' problem has been pitching. That's the clear problem here, especially the starting pitching. So until they get it established, that's why they did well last year. Corbin Burns was their anchor, even though a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of injuries with the starters as well. But they got to get an anchor on that starting rotation. Until then, they're going to struggle. And then if the offense is not clicking, which has been inconsistent this year, you're not going to win too many baseball games. So they sit in last place. AL Central, Detroit Tigers in first place in that division, and they got a little cushion. They 5 ahead of Cleveland and the Minnesota Twins. Kansas City right there, 6 out, and then the White Sox, who are the worst team in the American League. That's the only team the Orioles are in front of, as they're 17.5 out at 17-37, which was expected this year from them. The West, I think it's going to be tight all year in this division as well. Seattle with a slight half a game, or game and a half over the Houston Astros. Rangers right there. Angels has come back a little bit. But all those teams is under 500. Then the A's, I think, start to come back to earth as they 7 out. But I think the West will be tight all year because Houston ain't what they used to be. They still a decent team. Rangers have talent. Angels a little bit of surprise, but they right there as well. So I think this might be Seattle here to finally break through with the division, get into the playoffs. But Houston gonna have a lot to say about it. So is the Rangers. Angels and A's, they might hang around, but I'd be surprised if they really be considered a division winner. Quietly, the National League, like I said, the Phillies, they got the best record in baseball, 34-19. They've been quiet. A lot of people not talk. A lot of people talk more about the Mets because of what they did in the offseason. But the Mets is second place, and they only a game and a half out. But the Phillies been quietly rolling all season long. My Braves 2 under, but we was in the big hole in last place for a while. We finally crawled out of it. Washington Nationals is 4th place. Then you got the Miami Marlins, and last in that division, of course. Central, Chicago Cubs also sort of quiet. Nobody really talked about them either. I'm surprised. I mean, I believed in the Cardinals, but I'm still surprised that they're in second place right now. Um, Can't count out the Brewers yet. They own this division for a while. Them and Cincinnati is tied, and 6.5 out, and then the Pirates, um, way out of it, 19 and 36, 14 and a half, behind. And then in the West, the Dodgers, of course, I think eventually is going to win this division. I mean, they still get healthy, but they're clearly the best team. Padres, I like them as well. Giants hanging in there. They both 2 games out. Giants and the Padres, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, who's been a steady team the last few years as well. So, and then the Rockies, 9 and 45. I think I saw a stat on them that this is the now they play. I think at the 50 game mark. That was one of the worst records since like 1900 or something. Once you got to go back that far for something, either good or bad, it's crazy. So basically, in the modern era, this is the worst record. They don't even have 10 wins yet, and we almost 2 months into the season. That's just unheard of. So um, I always say, look out, my bad, good vibes, man. Shout out to you wherever you are. I know I ain't heard or saw from you in a while, but uh, I wish you would come over here. I just want to know how you feel about your Rockies, man. 9 and 45, it's just horrible. But and I don't follow the Rockies, so I don't know exactly, what's going on with them. But it can't be good at all. So, all right, so that's our baseball. We got the baseball out the way, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about the NBA playoffs. I last night I think I watched the first half of the Thunder game in Minnesota. Um, but I'm gonna talk about Minnesota deeply a little bit also, because this is why I didn't think they could win this series, and I think it reared its ugly head again last night. I mean, I don't understand. Um, Now, like I said, I watched the first half, and I followed it like near the end of the fourth. It was a close game. They won. What was it? 128, 126. So it was a close game. But I think I want to see, because I think Anthony Edwards only took 13 shots again. I think that was the same thing that happened in game 2. And I think, some people criticizing him because it's like, all right, I mean, it's not about you losing per se, but you gotta go down fight. You gotta put up some shots. But I think, which he's probably going to get more aggressive as his career go on. But I think he just try to make the right basketball play, as they say, quote unquote. So he wasn't worry about, he don't try to force a shot. He always try to get a good shot up. Julius Randle, which I also said he had to play a lot better in this series. And he's struggled the last couple of games now. Yeah, man, yeah, he only took 13 shots. No, you can't. If you just star. Now, the Minnesota bench pretty much kept them in this game. Other than that, the Thunder would have rolled. Um, but the Thunder, Jalen Williams was unbelievable. He played very, very well. Um, Now, Shea, he didn't play well as far as shooting for the field. He was 13 of 30. But, a lot of people, he gets to the free throw line. I don't see his free throw line stats here, but I think he got to the free throw line a lot. He might have scored 40 points or 30 shots. That's not efficient, but he got to the free throw line and still did what he had to do. The Thunder bench also was decent. Caruso gave them something. So, of course, 3-1 leads is not a guarantee win for moving on in playoff series, but it's pretty much a guarantee. I don't see the Thunder winning 3 games in a row. I don't see them winning the next game. I'd be surprised they go to OKC and win. I just don't think they can do it. I think Ant-Man, I think in this next game, we got to shoot at least 20 shots. But I just don't, the matchups, it's all about matchups here. I just think Um, Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren is a little bit too much for Rudy. I think Rudy has played well in this series. Like I said, he was 5-8 from the field, 13 rebounds. I mean, 9 rebounds. No, you got to have more than that. You got to have 10 plus rebounds. But he was active. I watched a little bit of the game. He played. He did what he was supposed to do, what he can do. Minnesota is just undersized. Um, but I got to, they bench kept him in this game. If they bench didn't show up, but see, you're going on the road now, so your bench usually not as strong on the road. So, but I said this at the beginning of the series. Like, this is a series that he got an average probably for, like, realistically, he probably got an average at least 30. I say 30 to 35 points. Realistically, I would say 40 to guarantee a win, but he got to at least put up 30, no matter if the bench is on or not. And then Julius Randle had to do what he's been doing. He played well most of the playoffs, but the last few games he's been off and on. And he only took 7 shots, so they are two best players, and they only took 20 shots. You know, that's the issue. So, um, but I guess, bro, relatively what I'm saying is the Wolves are done. I think the Thunder's going to move on. I think whenever Game 5 is, which is probably tomorrow night, I think they're going to go ahead and get Minnesota out of here. But Minnesota's right there. I think Ant-Man's still young. That's why, and I don't want to save social media, but it's all this. Everybody always try to hype somebody up. I think Ant-Man was only 23, 24 years old. He's still young, so even though he's pretty good now, he's going to get better. And as long as that continue to happen, Minnesota, don't mess up, build the team right. They got a decent team right now. They got a team good enough to win right now. I think they just need another big man, an active big man, and, to help out Rudy every once in a while. And they should be fine. Like next year, expectations will probably be a little higher depending on what they do in the off season. But I think the Thunder is about to move on and win this series. I don't see Minnesota winning the next game. I think the Thunder, now they have, like you seen in the Denver series, they have a great game and then they turn around and stick, just you don't know what the heck happened to them either. So Minnesota, if they somehow can able to win Game 5, which I don't think they will, but if they can, I think it's going to get interesting. If they go back to Minnesota, Game 6. So, like I said, when somebody's down and they get to Game 7, anything can happen. So, anything can happen in the Game 7 in any scenario. But that's why I think the Thunder need to finish them off in Game 5. I think if it goes 5, it's going to at least go 7. If Minnesota get Game 5 on the road, I think they go home and win again. And then I think we're going to get that 7th game. And I don't think the Thunder would that. So, I expect them to take care of business. Let me be sure. I think it is tomorrow night, though. Yeah, so Game 5 is Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night. Then tonight, we got Pacers and Knicks. This series fairly got interesting. No home team has won yet, which is crazy, to see in a series. But, Indiana took the first 2 games in New York. Tight games, but all the games has been close. So, I think Game 3, I think just the Knicks, like Carl Anthony Towns played in the fourth quarter. He just took over the game, and that's what he has to do. I mean, he was just possessed. He was rebounding, he was scoring, hitting threes, going to the basket. He was doing everything the Knicks needed him to do. Jalen Brunson sort of struggled because he was in foul trouble, so he bailed them out. Pacers sort of got cold. I think Tyrese Halliburton, I think he got to be more aggressive for the offensive end when it's time. But you still got to get the Pacers the edge because they at home tonight. Now, if the Knicks can win this game, then we got a whole new series. We start over. It's tied at 2-2. Then the Knicks go back home again. But if that happens, they got to protect home court. But like I said, this is an evenly matched series. Like I said, I did take the Knicks to win it. I didn't completely change my mind yet. Now, if they lose tonight, of course, I feel just like I feel about um, OKC, even though it's a different scenario because the Pacers will go on a road to try to close out the Knicks, but then they got Game 6 to sit back on. But yeah, this series has been wild. Um, but I picked the Knicks because the Knicks got stars. They got Karl Anthony Towns, which is perennial star, and Jalen Brunson has been a star. So Pacers, Tyrese, he's controversial. I mean, just or whatever player he is, but the way he plays in the postseason, you can't deny a great player that he is. And the Pacers are just a good, like I said, they got a system that they run, and they're just a good team. They got a lot of good players, um, and they run a system. But the Knicks, what they did differently in Game 3, which I told somebody that I know that's from New York, and I guess it's a Knicks fan. I told her like they gonna have to play. They gonna have to play their bench, even if Tibbs don't want to. Um, I think that's what you know what I'm saying. I think that's what happened with this game. They played their bench, so that gave the like Carl after he was able to do what he did because he wasn't tired in the fourth quarter. So that's probably why he was able to do what he did in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson, he just was like I said, he was sort of offering them because he was in foul trouble and things of that nature. That's the one thing the Pacers did do pretty well. So, um, yeah. So I mean, that's what you gotta expect for this game. But it's a huge game. The winner of this game, but definitely the momentum is swinging to their favor. Um, but if the Pacers get it though, it's more magnificent because they're a game away from the NBA Finals. So that's. So we'll see tonight. Can Indiana hold? Nobody won at home yet, so that's why I think if they win, that'd be huge as well. They already won in New York twice, so I think it's a bigger game for the Knicks, obviously. But if the Knicks do get this game, we got a whole new series now, and we pretty much start over. It'd be a best of 3 instead of best of 7. So, um, but tonight particular, um, my heart say the Knicks, but my mind is saying the Pacers. But we'll see. We'll see tonight. Tonight's going to tell a lot through the rest of the series. So, all right. So that's the NBA playoffs update there. Um, big game tonight though. Uh, and we'll see what goes on throughout the series. Like I said, right now it's looking like it's going to be OKC Indiana. But if the Knicks win this game tonight, that'll change that whole dynamic, and we'll see what happens tonight. So, all right. So, we covered the NBA, we covered the MLB. So, first, before I get to the NFL roundabout series, some little notes I think I didn't touch on last week, because I think it happened after I got live. I think it happened that day, later on that day, last week. Brock Purdy. San Francisco 49ers quarterback, of course, everybody been arguing, should he get paid? Should he get his money? But the Niners think so. They gave it to him. I think it was, what, 278? Well, let me see if I can look it up. I think he got 278 for the extension. And the Niners, like, I mean, what else they was going to do, I'm not surprised. You had to pay him because who else was going to go? I think they flirted with some veterans, throughout the last couple of years. They had a down year last year because of injuries. So, we'll see what happens with that. But I think that's the right decision. Like, he's proven, that he's the quarterback for their system, and whether we'll call him a system quarterback or not. But if they healthy this year, they're going to be right back. They got young with the draft, especially on the defensive side. So they should be right back this year to be contenders. Of course, the Rams will have something to say about it in that division. I like the Cardinals as well. Seattle, we'll see. They got Sam Darnold, so we'll see. But that's going to be an interesting division, But we'll talk about the West in a couple weeks. We'll be doing that division. Oh, 265. So 5 years, 265 extension. and it's sort of I mean, it's team friendly. So yeah, so they saying they can bill still pay other people, so that's a good thing. So he sort of gave them a pass, which I think in his position, I think why not? You want to still you in the right situation. Um, so I think it was smart for the Niners to do that. So now all they gotta do is stay healthy. Christian McCaffrey gotta stay healthy. Um, the young receivers gotta improve. Defensively, like I said, they got younger as well. So we'll see what happens with that. So, but that was not a surprise at the decision. And then they got it done early. And that's the thing about it now in the NFL. If your quarterback is good, pay him early. Play him now. Don't wait to the last year's contract, because if you have a monster year, you have to pay, definitely have to pay the max, because the cap is just going up. So you gotta pay your guy now. We made a mistake. Um, well, it looks okay now, but with Lamar with the Ravens, when he won that first MVP, we should have gave him his extension. We wrote it out. He had another monster year. We had to pay him more. We probably could have got him for less if we'd have paid him back 2 years before then. So that's what happened. So if your guy, especially in his first contract, if he has a good year, you pay him early. Pay him in that second or third year. Don't wait till the fourth, fifth year. So, oh man, it's like you're talking trash. First of all, your team is now called the Commanders. So say it with me. I always tell you, Commanders, and they had a good year last year. I mean, the Commanders had a good year. The Eagles was just too much for them in the NFC Championship game, but they had a good year. And just like I just said with the quarterbacks, y'all better pay Jalen Daniels after this year. We'll see what they do this year. It was a rookie last year. Now, if he have a monster year this year, carry y'all to the playoffs again, y'all better pay him. So, but y'all got a good team. Y'all Commanders is a good team. I like them. I mean, I think they're going to be good for years. Y'all just hit the division with the Eagles. That's the issue. Y'all have to deal with the Eagles, but Commanders are a good team. We're going to talk about the Commanders in a couple. Well, about a couple of months, about a month or so from now. So I'm doing the NFC East last, but this is the NFC North day today. So we're doing the NFC North, but the Commanders are a good team. They are. They picked up Debo Samuels, which is a veteran receiver. They did okay in the draft as well, so they going to be a good team in the next coming years. But only thing y'all got to do now is just pay. Like I said, if Jalen Daniels have another great year, pay him early. Don't wait, and Washington should be okay. But it's just the Eagles. You just got to deal with the Eagles. That's the only issue. Dallas, yeah, they picked up CD Lamb. I mean, the receiver from Pittsburgh. Dang, I got throwing a blank right now, but they got him. So their offense is okay, but they still don't got a running game. We'll see if they pay Micah or not. And then the Giants are young, and the Giants is probably the only team that you don't expect much from this year in that division. So yeah, so right now it's just y'all. It's the Commanders and the Eagles. Dallas, yeah, they got talent, but still not good enough. And then the Giants are still rebuilding. So even though they had a great draft, we'll see if they draft picks turn out to be anything. If so, then the Giants would be an issue also. But yeah, so right now y'all just gotta worry about the Eagles in that division for sure. But like I said, I'm here today to talk about the North. The North is the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings. I've been doing this. This is my third year doing this. I break down every division. I'm gonna do some shorts on my other channel, I think. Throughout the week, I probably do one or two today, 2 teams today, and do the other two later on this week. Well, this division, like I said, this division is pretty much it's interesting as well, because you still think it's Detroit, you still think it's going to be the Lions, but you're not sure. Can Jared Goff keep up with what he's been doing the last couple of years? I see that Caden Henderson is healthy. He announced that he's for full go, so he's gonna have a monster year because that was one of their weaknesses, pass rushing. So he's going to have to come back and dominate, get that Lions defense together. Um, but I'm gonna talk about the Chicago Bears first. Doing the alphabetical order. Of course, the Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams. I can't believe he. I don't know if he said it or his camp or his agent or whatever. Of course, this is his second year. He had an up and down year. He started off good and struggled down the end of the stretch, and the Bears missed the playoffs. But it came out that he was trying to basically he didn't want to go to Chicago. He didn't want to go to the Bears. He was trying to sort of like have them not pick him number one, and all this other crazy stuff that came out about him in that situation. Now, one thing you can't blame him for because Chicago's quarterback history is bad. Probably, I mean, Rex Grossman is a stretch, but really since Rex Grossman, I guess Jay Cutler, but Jay Cutler wasn't drafted by the Bears. So, but just basically, if you get drafted by Chicago as a quarterback, you usually don't turn out that well. So he looked at that situation. I guess that's why he didn't want to go there. But why now? Why did this news come out now? So to me, it wasn't a good look. Now the pressure's on him to play well. They got new coach in there. I think Ben Johnson is the coach for the Bears. So we'll see what his offensive regime is. But they got some good skill players. So we'll see what they do this year. Offensive line, hopefully they improved on that. I don't know what they did in the draft per se. But the offensive line definitely was bad last year. And he still had to play well. The defense was decent. And a lot of people, just like last year, a lot of people jumped on them last year, saying they was going to make the playoffs. Of course, they didn't. This year, to me, I think they just gotta prove it to me. I think they got a good enough team to compete. But like I said, in the division they in, you got Green Bay with Jordan Love. Even though to me, I didn't like the way they ended their season last year. Like I said, Detroit and Minnesota sort of a question mark, but they got they're going to put on J.J. McCarthy. Is he really ready to be the starter? But you see what Sam Darnold did in that offense, so I guess they're thinking J.J. could do the same thing. But the Bears in a tough division, so they have to prove it to be. And then the NFC is kind of deep, also. So just to look at the playoffs itself, it's gonna be tough to get in. So, well, let's look at their schedule. That's a good idea. Let's see how their schedule look, and see how difficult they really will have it. Let's see. Dang, my thing is acting up. All right, pull up the Bears and look at their schedule. Bears. Okay. Oh, they start off on Monday night against the Vikings. But let's look at the schedule here for them. Okay. All right, yeah. So they start with Minnesota. So they start with the division games first. Detroit, the week 2. Dallas. Then they go to Vegas. Let's see. Well, the way they schedule don't look that bad. Vegas, even though Vegas will be better this year. They go against the Commanders, not the Redskins. The Commanders. That's what it says over here. I read Commanders, not Redskins. You gotta grow up now. I ain't supposed to be saying it. We ain't supposed to be saying that name no more. Then they got the Saints. Yeah, so their schedule not that bad. The Giants is on their schedule. So their schedule sets up for them to get some wins. Cleveland, we don't know what Cleveland going to be. They go to San Francisco. Yeah, so their schedule's not that bad. Other than the division, they don't have a tough schedule. They play Pittsburgh at home. And like I said, it might be Aaron Rodgers. I think it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers, but we'll talk about that another time. I've said it 1,000 times that it looks like that's who's coming there. Um, so yeah, they schedule ain't that hard. So um, gotta win the games they supposed to win. They got the Ravens as well. I didn't mention that. That's gonna be a tough game. So they play the NFC. I mean the AFC North this year. So yeah, a couple of tough games, but it's not, other than the division games, you got winnable games. So we'll see if the Bears can turn it around. But I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to see it first, honestly. Um, the Detroit Lions. Of course, last 2 years has been pretty much well, I don't want to say Super Bowl contender, but pretty much right there. Last year was disappointing how they lost. They lost to the Commanders in the second round, in the divisional round. A lot of people thought they was going to at least get to the NFC Championship game, and they fell short. Um, and it was because of that defense, because Washington just marched up and down the field. I think they blew them out, right? But anyway, um, I guess I wrote down is they windows closed. I'm gonna say not yet, um, but it's just like they, like Buffalo, which a lot of people, even I'm real high on the Bills this year. But last year I thought, they windows was closed. Um, but they got younger and retooled, so now they might, Josh Allen has taken another step forward. So that's what's going to have to happen here. Jared Goff, I've been critical of Jared Goff most of his career, um, especially before he left LA, came to Detroit, and really turned his career around. So I give him credit. But do he have a ceiling? I think that's the question. Like, is this the best Jared Goff you're going to get? He said if he could improve somehow and get better, because he had some games when he turned the ball over, um, but he had some games where he almost had 100% completion percentage. So he could give you both. But he clearly needs his skilled players to play well. Amar St. Brown has been quietly one of the two best receivers in the NFL if you go by stats the last couple of years, helping them out. Then you got Sonic and Knuckles of Jahmyr Gibbs and Williams in the backfield. It's been helping them out a lot. But it's been Detroit defense. It's been up and down. No pass rush. That's why Caden Henderson he going to have a defensive player of the year type year. And they drafted some guys, but you just never know how you draft it. I mean, it sounds good. Like when you hear the draft, you sound like the Giants I just brought up. They picked a lot of good players, but will it translate onto the field immediately? And you don't know that part of it. So, but Detroit, you gotta say they're the favorite to win this division again. Because you're not really sure about everybody's trying to put Green Bay up there, but look at how they looked last year. I think Jordan Love's still growing, so you got to say Detroit is the favorite to win the division. But I don't think they win those close yet. But like I said, there's a quarterback lead, so Jared Goff going to have to somehow improve of what he's been doing, even though he's played well. And that defense will have to show up consistently this year for them to have a shot. Because the Eagles, like I said, the Eagles is clearly the best team in the NFC. It's not, to me, it's not a debate. So that's who you got to measure up against. So like basically like last year, if they would have won against Washington, they would have played Philadelphia, where they would have beat them. Well, I can't lie. I think I did pick Detroit though to come out the NFC last year. Now I think about it, so I guess I put my own foot in my mouth in a way. But they had the injuries last year on the defensive side, so we'll see what they do this year. But NFL, you can always gotta factor in injuries for sure. But I don't think they win those close yet. I think they got a chance. But the Eagles, like I said, the Eagles. I mean, even though we ain't talked about the Eagles today, but if you talk about the NFC, you got to talk about the Eagles because, and not just because they're defending champions. I just think how they won last year. That defensive line, those guys, Jalen Carter, those guys are young. Like they in their second year, third year, and I think that was, and then Jalen Hurts. I think to me, them winning, I think it's going to help him relax now. I think he's going to play more free now that he won a Super Bowl. So the Eagles is not going nowhere. So can they beat the Eagles? That's the question. Today I would say no, but we'll see how the season goes from here on out. So let's look at their schedule. Let's see what their schedule look like. Now they should have a tougher schedule than the Bears, obviously, because they was the first place team. So let's check out the Lions schedule. All right, come on, thing. Let's see, Detroit. All right, okay. Yeah, they start with the Packers, week 1. I think that's a good start for them. Like I said, they played 2 division games also to start the season. Then they got the Ravens Sunday night in week 3. That should be a good game in Baltimore. Then they got Cleveland, Cincinnati. The Bengals, like I said, well, like I said, I don't want to get off topic with the teams I'm talking about. But the Bengals going to be an interesting team. That's going to be an interesting game also. Then they go to Kansas City. They get Tampa. So, yeah, pretty tough schedule as expected. They got Philadelphia in November. They do have the Giants on here. Dallas. I'm just really focusing on the non-division games. At LA, that's always an interesting game because of Matthew Stafford. They get Pittsburgh. Like I said, we think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, tough, kind of tough schedule, but, with Detroit, the way they play, they could probably win most of those games. Still expected to win at least 10 games or more. So, but like I said, the Eagles is the cream of the crop in the NFC, so they got to deal with Philadelphia there. Okay, so Green Bay Packers. I brought up the Green Bay Packers. Then we go to talk about the Vikings. Of course, I said Jordan Love struggled in the last season. They limped into the playoffs, and then of course had to play the Eagles. The Eagles won that game in the first round in the playoffs in the wild card round. I like Jordan Love. I just think just like in today's sports, which I brought up with Ant-Man. As a matter of fact, him and Ant-Man is, I don't want to say similar, but they put them up. They put them in the superstar level when they're not quite there yet. You see the potential that they could get there, but they're not there yet. And I think it's the same with Jordan Love. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to improve. Green Bay, they're young also. Like the receivers, they got good receivers, but they're young. Everybody's young, which is a good thing. You like this. You like your teams to grow together. But also could be a detriment because you're still growing. So when you get these big games, sometimes it just don't work out. The thing I like what Jordan Love do now. This is just me. He throws it off his back foot too much. Like I don't know if I guess that's a habit that he's got to break. But he's got to stop though. That's why you saw some of the crazy interceptions he threw last year. He needs to be more fundamental in the pocket when he is in the pocket. Of course, he can still move out on the bootleg, out on the move and throw the football. But that when he do that backpedaling throws and stuff like that, that's when he get erratic. And sometimes he don't have to do it. Like sometimes the offensive line protected him. So that's one thing. Hopefully he improved on the offseason, get more footwork in the pocket. But this team got potential. I mean, Jacobs was huge for them last year. I thought it was a mistake them letting Aaron Jones go because he just fit with that offense so well. But Josh Jacobs has come in, and I have to admit he played well. And he's an every down back. I think Aaron Jones, he's pretty good, but I don't know if you could have him on third and longs to protect, the pass block and stuff like that. Jacobs did well with that. And he ran the ball. I think he was, second in the league in rushing, second or third. I know it was Saquon by a long shot. I think it was Saquon. I think it was third because it was Derrick Henry. Then I think it was Jacobs, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. So, So according to that, he's a top 5 running back. So defensively, they young as well. They had ups and downs on the defense last year, so you expect the defense to improve. So the Packers, they're going to be right there. They're going to be competing for a wild card. Right now, today, I would say, like I said, Detroit um, will win this division. I do my predictions later on in the year, but the Packers, they just young, so they just growing. So hopefully, maybe this will be the year they, put it together and make a little run in the playoffs. But right now, we gotta wait and see how much they grown and improve as a team. But Matt LaFleur, the coach, some people often know about him. I think he's a good coach. I think he's right for this team. Um, but I'm the type of guy. I'm patient. I be patient with my coaches, um, especially if you see any type of improvement. But in today's NFL, well, Green Bay, um, they not like other franchises. Like they kind of like Pittsburgh. They would stick with their guy for a while. Look how long they kept Mike McCarthy there, um, and they finally let him go. But they gave him 10 years or so. So Green Bay not known to making rash decisions. So long as they see some type of improvement, Matt LaFleur will be the coach. But some people don't agree with that. Some people think he should be fired, and they should go with somebody else to help Jordan Love. But I don't think so. You got to stay patient with him. So, all right. So let's look at the Packers schedule. They face Detroit, which I said to start the season, at home. Then they got the Commanders, not the R word, the Commanders at home the next week. That's a Thursday night game. Okay, so that's a primetime game. Um, then they go to Cleveland and go to Dallas back-to-back weeks. So, like I said, we don't know what Dallas going to be. Dak Prescott will be back. They're definitely a better team with Dak, but I just think it's too much. I think Dallas just too much drama around them. Um, Cincinnati Bengals, that might be a tough game at home. Then they go to Arizona. Then they go to Pittsburgh. Like I said, we think it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Carolina Panthers, I don't think that's an easy game anymore. I like the way the Panthers finished the season. Of course, we'll talk about them when it's time. Um, then they got Philadelphia, of course, because they was in the playoffs last year. So they get Philadelphia at home. It's a Monday night game in November. Yeah, they play the Ravens also. That's the end of the season. Um, they got the Giants, so that's should be a win. Like I said, Minnesota. Like I said, we don't know what Minnesota will be. We'll have to talk about them in a second. Go to Denver. The Broncos. The Broncos, an interesting team. You see how well they played last year. So not a horrible, not a mountain of a schedule, but not easy either. They got a lot of tough games on there. But like to me, it depends on how much they grow as a young team. But like I said, the wild card's gonna be wide open in the NFC. So we'll see. They made it last year, but I think they can't limp in like they did last year. They kind of limp. They pretty much backed it to the playoffs. They almost blew it. They almost didn't make the playoffs last year at the end because they lost a few games at the end. So, but they had a big enough lead that they still made the playoffs. So, but I like them though. I like how they growing. They young, and we'll see if Jordan Love continue to improve or not. And that's going to depends on the Packers' success from this year and moving forward. All right, so our last team we talk about today is the Minnesota Vikings, as we covered the NFC North. Vikings, of course, had a surprising last year. Was surprised Aaron Donald, Sam Donald. Reed Russ's record, his career had I ain't gonna say MVP. Well, yeah, MVP type year. I think he was like third in touchdown passes. Um, uh, But they let Sam Darnold walk. They're gonna go with the young kid J.J. McCarthy. So that's the biggest question mark, obviously, for the Vikings. What he's gonna give you? He haven't played the snap in the regular season. I think he got hurt before the preseason. I believe. I think he got hurt real early. Um, so um, hopefully he's back and healthy. Um, but even that, can they build on last year? Last year, unfortunately, they won 14 games. And still, what was they 13-4? I know they had they was right there with Detroit. Lost that game at home to Detroit to end the season, to lose the division, and had to go on the road. Um, and who did they have to play? Was it Tampa or was it Washington? Who was the fourth seed last year? Let me look it up instead of trying to rack my brain. Let me see. I might can't see it though. I might have to actually look it up. Yeah. But I believe it was because Detroit. Who was the one seed? Detroit was, right? So then it was Philly in the East. Then in the West, it was the Rams. That's what. Yeah, they had to go to play the Rams. That's what it was. Yeah, and they lost in LA. I'm on the road, and then they was trying to push this rule um, to basically not basically you don't really gain anything from winning your division. You just gotta have the best record and just do it that way. I don't think in the NFL, I don't think they should do that. I definitely disagree with that. Like if you don't win the division, you just don't win it. I mean, it don't happen too often. I mean, it's happened a few times when teams are 13 wins or 12 wins have to go on the road for a playoff game because the team in their division was a little bit better. That's what happened to Minnesota last year. But the way, like I said, the way they played in that game, I think the Rams could have, like, let's say Minnesota was the home team. I think the Rams could have still won that game. Um, it matters, but it don't matter to me, at least in this situation. Sam Donald, the week before, he looked at bad. He looked at just as bad. I guess that's why they decided, that's his ceiling. Let's let him go. Let's see what the young kid got. So everything in this is his hands. But he got some good skill players. Justin Jefferson, Addison. They got some great receivers. Like I said, Aaron. I just talked about Aaron. I just talked about the running back Aaron. So he went to Minnesota. So I think they got some good skills players there. Defensively was an issue off and on. So we'll see if the defense improved. But the Vikings, if you look at their skill players, as long as the quarterback play well, they have a shot as well. But I think he's basically a rookie because he haven't played. So we'll see what JJ can do. But at least he shouldn't be afraid of the moment. He was a national champion at Michigan. So we'll see if he carry that experience over to the NFL. And I think he can. But we have to see first, though. But that's going to be the Vikings' biggest issue coming in. How much time is going to take him to learn the offense and grow. Because if he plays well, the Vikings will be formidable because of the skill players that they have. So, and that's how Sam Darnold, that's one thing he did well. He used his skill players, got them the ball, and you saw how well that the Vikings played most of the time. But like I said, that Detroit game pretty much crushed them to, I think. Then I think once they got to LA for the playoff game, I think they just wasn't ready. I think they still was, hungover from that loss, because that was a huge loss. Like I said, for them to lose the division on. So that's how I feel about the Vikings. Let's look at their schedule real quick. Their schedule should be a little bit daunting as well. Let's check it out. Let's see. And we know who they play at week 1. They play Monday night against the Chicago Bears, which we mentioned. Okay. So they play. Well, because I'm a Ravens fan, they put the Ravens game up first, but they don't play them till November. But they own the schedule. Um, they get Atlanta. Atlanta's gonna be an interesting team this year. Cincinnati, we mentioned them. Dublin is in Germany, right? So they go to Dublin and play the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they got a London game also the next week against Cleveland. So that's gonna be an interesting 2 weeks for them. They get the Eagles, um, L.A. Chargers. We'll see what the Chargers is this year. So just focus on the games that's out the division at Seattle. They get the Commanders, not the other team name they used to be. Um, at Dallas, that's a Sunday night game in December. They get the Giants. Um, so the non-division games, well, we're going to see how they fare with them 2 back-to-back international games. A couple of tough games, but manageable schedule. So we'll see. Yeah, JJ McCarthy, it's gonna be a lot of pressure on the young man, but he dealt with it in college, so could he deal with it in the NFL? And this defense, like I said, defense was up and down, so the defense had to improve as well. And if so, then I think Minnesota would be right there. But this division is, like I said, this division is very, very interesting because, like I said, the Bears, even though I said about the Bears, the Packers, Detroit, slight favorites, but all these teams bring something to the table that you have to deal with. So this will be an interesting division this year. And, we can't wait for it. So, Detroit, like I said, Detroit is probably the favorite right now. We're seeing anything happening between now and week 1. They got to be the favorites going in to this new NFL season. So that's our first week of the Roundabout series, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. We'll do this every week until we do all the divisions. So next week we will do the AFC North. So that's the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be the division we look at next week, and then the following week after that, we'll stay in the AFC, but we'll go to the South. We'll cover the Titans, Texans, Jags, and the Indianapolis Colts. So that's the next 2 weeks we got. So, all right. So that's my cue. My phone ringing. Hopefully the sound didn't go out. So all right, I'm out of here, everybody. Thanks, Rolanda, for coming through here. Even though you trolled me a little bit, but it's all good. Thanks for coming through and watching. Appreciate you guys so much. Somebody else was in here, but they didn't type in the chat. So, but like I said, put your name in the chat or in the comments. I'll definitely shout you out. Stay tuned for some more videos today. Call of Duty, Dragon Ball, Sparkly Zero. I started finally rolling those videos out. I'm gonna try to do more of those. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do a Forever Skies video today. I gotta just get stuck from this part that I'm on, and then I'll probably do one. And just check out my rest of my projects. Like I said, Doom is coming. Probably either later this month or July for sure. That's my plan with that. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for joining me today on the Roundabout series. Um, Subscribe to my other channel, Solid Sports Gaming Shorts. Um, you can look it up. I don't know if I can. I probably gotta try. I'm gonna try to copy the link and put it on this channel on the bio. Um, if you want to, basically, I'm gonna talk about these 4 teams, but I'm gonna break it down in a little 3-minute video. So I'm gonna do it on the Shorts channel. So check that out. We'll be doing this the next couple weeks. So thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. We're exactly an hour in, so not bad. Not bad. Wasn't much to talk about today other than the Roundabout series. That's why we do this during the summer, because sports is a slow time for sports other than the playoffs and the NBA. So next week we got the AFC North, which will be interesting to talk about that next week. And I'll be here. I won't know exactly what day yet. It depends on my work schedule, but it'll be either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'll try to announce it sooner than I did today. I thought I was off Wednesday, so I was going to do it on my normal Wednesday day. So, but thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week. Rolanda, thanks for coming through. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll talk to all of you soon. And thanks to all my YouTube family. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned for more videos, and peace and love always. Thank you guys so much.